Hello, Ate Bea.
Oh, can hear you.
Oh, welcome to the KuyaChris and Friends podcast. Ate Bea, please bless us with your poem muna.
Okay. So this poem is entitled To the Woman in the Mirror I See Each Day. It's a homework from Liza's class. We call it the selfie poem.
Selfie poem.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Why? Why are you here? Why do you think you deserve to be here? Here in this giant tapestry that has interwoven the ideals and dreams of its citizenry. You said you want to learn of what makes America great and see if it's what your motherland could earn at any rate. But have you really seen that? Or you saw how two countries, so unlike in status and size, face similar hardships in front of their people's eyes. You said you want to share your culture so that people here would appreciate and maybe visit the Philippine Islands in the future. But have you really done your part? Or you only realized that you had to travel this far to learn more of your country and yourself while both of them were far apart? To the woman in the mirror I see each day, for now, I'll stop asking you and simply say, you may have a lot of doubts, fears, troubles, and anxieties, but these are only signs that you still have to face certain realities. For this is not just about you and your capital I, but we. So never stop asking why.
Oh, snaps for that. Awesome. That was for Liza's class. Shout out to Miss Liza Erpello. Skyline College, represent.
My supervisor.
Kababayan Learning Community. Hey! So, can you give us a little background? First, what is your name? Full name?
Full name, Bea Mara.
Mara. I didn't know Mara.
Yeah, Mara. Usually they say Bea Maria. No, it's Mara. My mother's maiden name is Lubaton.
Lubaton.
Yeah. Zamora.
Zamora. Are you related to the priest?
Priest? I don't know. Maybe.
Shout out to the Filipino priests who rebelled against the Spanish
Gomburza.
Which was Zamora,
Burgos, and
Gomez. Cool. So, background, you are for Skyline College this year's FLTA.
Yep.
Could you tell us what an FLTA is?
So FLTA is the Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistant. So there are actually around 400 of us this year.
400?
Yeah, from different countries. I think from 48 countries, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Have you met the others?
Yeah.
What? And then, so what does the FLTA do? From those 400 people from different countries, what do they do?
So we are actually English teachers from our countries, but we teach our national language here. So in our case, or in my case, there are actually 4 of us from the Philippines. So we teach Filipino. But I have a very unique program at Skyline.
Why?
Which I'm very happy about, because I get to assist not only the Filipino class, but also the other kababayan classes like Miss Liza's English 110. I did 846 and 105 last semester. And now, since there's no Filipino class this semester, I'm assisting Manong Rod.
Yeah, shout out to
History.
Rod Daus Magbual,
Yeah.
the Rod Father.
So that's Phil History. And of course, our Kapamilya. Kapamilya. Not. Kapatiran. Kapatiran seminar too. So,
which is a college success class at South City and Westmoore. That's where we've been co-assisting Kuya Bo for the last 2 semesters. How long have you been here? How many?
9 months. 1 more month to go. Less than a month, actually.
You have less than a month.
I have like 28.
Bilis ang panahon.
Right.
Time flies, But, okay, so now that we have a little background, that gives me a little context about your poem, right? Because in that poem, you were talking about you're going to come here and teach your culture, teach about the Philippines, right? But then I know you've told me, and you've told a lot of when we're at events or when you're speaking in front of the class, you say that you've learned a lot more about yourself, your own culture here. Why is that? What do you mean? How can that be? You're in America. How come you learned more about your culture here?
Yeah, so there are actually things that maybe I don't know if it was really taught before or I just forgot. But especially like maybe the history, when we talked about the book that we had. Remember the book with those pictures?
Oh, the Forbidden Book.
The Forbidden Book?
Yeah.
I haven't seen one in like
the Philippines.
In the Philippines. Yeah.
Maybe because all those pictures were published here. Yeah, so the shout out to the Forbidden Book, which is a collection of pictures of how the US, it was more of, was it from magazines, right? Yeah, from magazines, editorials, newspapers, where they did like caricatures of the US and the Philippines when the US occupied the Philippines.
Yeah.
And so some were positive about and some were negative. Like some supported the occupation of the Philippines, showing that the Filipinos need to be educated, they're savages, while some were negative in the fact that they didn't want to support the occupation. They were showing like Uncle Sam as taba, as fat, showing that he's just being an imperialist and taking control of all the other nations like Cuba, Puerto Rico, things like that.
Yeah.
Guam. So you never saw that?
No.
And
I was also telling you like there are Filipino delicacies that I have only tasted here.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like the first time I had, was that papaitan?
Yeah.
And laing.
Oh, that was the first time you had laing here? Really? So it's not. So laing is not like. Why? Okay. Why don't you give us a regional background of where you're from in the Philippines?
I'm from Visayas, specifically Negros Oriental. So I'm Bisaya.
And so you speak also Bisaya.
I speak Bisaya, yeah. But my lolo is actually from Occidental. So it's also a different
dialect?
Yeah, they speak a different dialect. It's Hiligaynon.
Do you understand that also?
Like Ilonggo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand because I grew up with Ilonggo families who are Ilonggo, and they speak Ilonggo, and
So you know English, you know Tagalog, which is what is considered Filipino. You know Bisaya. You know Ilonggo, and you know what was it?
Hiligaynon is actually Ilonggo and Hiligaynon, I guess, are the same. Are
close.
Yeah.
So you can group them together. But then they're not the same as Bisaya.
Yeah, I'd say no.
Dang, at least like 4.5, right? That's crazy. Your brain is just like packed with different connections of meanings and words. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy because Negros Island, for one, it's one island, but we speak two different dialects. I'd say it's considered a language, not really like a dialect, because the words are really different.
So you won't be able to really understand each other?
Yeah.
If you don't know the language?
Yeah, so
really?
you have to be careful because there are words that are like, I won't say it, but if it's actually bad, if you say it if you're in Bacolod, the occidental part, it's bad. It means something bad. Yeah, but or for example, like bangga, right?
Yeah, bangga. You hit something.
Yeah.
Na bangga.
So in Bisaya we pronounce it as bangga, like bangga, but in Bacolod or in the occidental part, it means, if I'm not mistaken, it's like corner.
Oh.
like the street, like around the corner. So if they say para sa may bangga lang, so if you think about it, like bangga, like hit, but
Yeah.
you're riding, so they mean like around the corner,
Yeah,
like stop
yeah.
there, like.
Yeah.
So it's very
that can
different.
make it hard because sometimes when I was traveling through different parts of the Philippines, I would try to listen as if like, oh, maybe I can get the context if I find out one or two words that sound like it. Then I'm like, oh, I think I get the gist of it. And then I have someone translate. I was that's not what they said. I was
Right.
like, it's completely different, even if I hear words that are kind of similar. And that's what's kind of cool about the Philippines, that there's so many different languages. And I guess that's why some people don't like Tagalog. Diba? They're like, why is that considered the Filipino?
Yeah.
Right? Diba? I've known people from Cebu, from Visayas area, who are like, don't speak to me in Tagalog. Speak to me in English, like that. Even in Mindanao, diba? They're like, don't speak to me in Tagalog. Like I'm like, oh.
Cebu and Dumaguete, like Dumaguete is Negros Oriental, like it's like the capital. So before we were part of Central Visayas, so that's Region 7. But now they created like a new region. It's called Negros Island region, which is, for me, it's a bit hard because we don't really speak the same language. But before, when we were part of Cebu, it was a bit easier because Bisaya, like Cebuano, and the Bisaya spoken in Dumaguete in Negros Oriental is actually more or less the same.
Similar.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like very interesting to think that maybe these regional differences that leads into like the whole tribalism, what they say about like the competitiveness of different Ilocano, Visayan, right? And then like the little inner fightings between like, oh, don't go to that restaurant because they're this, like that. But I guess that shows also the diversity,
Right.
and like the really cool, like, yo, we have so much culture even within the Philippines, right? I want to ask though, all right, so you've been here 9 months. Let's do a rewind, right? Just to get rewind, just to get back, right, to like that first feelings, because I want to get like a little overview of your experience, right? Coming from the Philippines, this is your first time in the U.S., right? But you're coming into Daly City where there's a strong Filipino presence. If you can remember back to the beginning, what were those first feelings of coming to Skyline, starting out, like coming here and seeing these Filipinos, but a lot of them like Filipino Americans who don't necessarily know Tagalog? What was your initial...
So the day that I arrived, I could remember, like when I landed in the airport, I saw because I came here. When I came here, I went to Indiana first for our summer orientation.
Yeah.
So I was actually the only Filipina there. There were maybe around, I'm not sure if it's like 100 FLTAs. So there are different orientations, and in that group, I'm the only Filipina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I was there, like it's Midwest, so you see the faculty are, I think if I'm not mistaken, like all white. Although there's actually one Filipino, but he was born and raised here. He doesn't speak Tagalog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I came to Daly City, specifically when I was still in the airport, I heard like the language spoken, like, the people working there. So I said, oh my, like, am I really in the US? Because I didn't expect like the number of people speaking the language. So the first thing I did was like ask, because there were a lot of doors. So I said, which way should I go to this? Because my landlady picked me up. And then I spoke Tagalog because I heard them speaking in Tagalog. This is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I went to Miss Liza's office, the first time I met her, I didn't know that she doesn't understand Tagalog. But So when I came in, I said, "Good morning po." I was with like, "Good morning po." He said, "Yeah." And then when she spoke, I said, "Okay, she doesn't speak Tagalog." But I'm not really, I'd say more or less I'm fluent in Tagalog, but it also takes time for me sometimes to process. Like because I'm Bisaya.
Yeah, so you're like translating from English to like another language to another language.
That's why I usually hang out with Jin. Shout out
to Jin, another Skyline student, and she speaks Bisaya.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was so happy. And you know what's the funny thing was, my first weekend here, we went to Soma. We had the tour we had like a sort of a retreat with the FSU leaders.
Yeah, Filipino Student Unions.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jin was there, of course. She was the president. And we didn't know, like, we were speaking in English or Tagalog the whole time. And then the following week, remember when we were at the KLC office and then I think you told me like, Ate Bea, like you should teach me some more Bisaya, like Bisayan words. And then Jin, that was the time that Jin realized.
Found out that you were Bisaya. Oh, and then it just started like, I can speak my language with someone. It's a really good feeling when you find out someone does speak your language when you're in a place where you thought no one did, right? Because now I'm blessed to be here in Daly City where there's a lot of Filipinos, but I spent a lot of time in LA, and in my area there wasn't a lot of Filipinos. I remember I have like a super ear whenever I would walk around and then I would hear someone just speak some Tagalog.
Yeah.
Oh, hello po. I'll just say, hi. Magandang araw po. Start crying.
Right.
Because it is a good feeling. And then, even if mine is super slang now, when I say it, I'm like, fuck, it's kind of, damn it.
Marami
salamat po. And then when I go to the Philippines, it's so obvious to people. And they're like, huh? They give me the face first. First they look at me there, and then when I keep on speaking, they're like, "Oh, saan ka galing?" And then, but I just play it off sometimes. Oh, Manila lang, Manila. Kasi mga konyo yung mga. But now there's so many konyos that you think that that's real. There's so many people who I've met that they don't learn Tagalog in Manila. And in that area, because they're just being taught English.
That's right.
Which is kind of sad. Which is kind of like, yo, I do not want this trend to continue. Like, I don't think that's good. Not to even know your own country's, region's dialect. And because of the English superiority.
Only. Right.
English only.
That's the same thing in the school where I'm teaching.
What?
Sometimes, like, there are students who do not speak the dialect or Filipino. And yeah.
And they're English only?
Yeah.
Really?
So, it's also ironic that sometimes when you think of English teachers, you think of, like, people who are enforcing the English-only policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I was in college, one of my mentors really told us that it's wrong to push something that's not really your mother tongue.
Yeah.
So coming from someone who's an English major too, like, I knew, like, this is what I wanted to teach, like, everyone, that, you know, you have to, of course, embrace your mother tongue. And so actually, before I applied for the scholarship, that was also what was in my mind. Because I was thinking, oh, this is cool. Like, I'll be teaching Filipino. It's Tagalog. And then they were thinking, but you're an English teacher. Like, could you do that? I said, yeah, of course. So, although sometimes, like, as what I was saying, I need to think first and then translate. But it gives me a really nice feeling when people would tell me, you know what? You don't really have the accent, because sometimes if it's Bisaya, when we speak Tagalog, we have the accent that sometimes we just would rather say it in English then, because because Tagalog speaking people have like there's a certain accent too, right? Like when they speak it, you would know that they're, I don't know, like
Tagalog
talaga.
Pero
if
sometimes
it's Bisaya,
if you speak Bisaya and you speak Tagalog,
it's obvious.
Oh.
Yeah, like personally, like I met someone from Skyline. She was speaking in Tagalog because I was with Dessa. Shout out to Dessa, our PCN producer. Yeah. So
ASSC.
So when she was speaking in Tagalog, right then and there, like I knew she's Bisaya.
Oh, and then you start speaking to her in Bisaya?
So she went to the cafeteria, and then I asked Dessa, is she Bisaya? She said, I think so. I'm not sure. And then when she came back, I said, Bisaya ka no? Oh, she was also freaking out because she said she wasn't able to speak Bisaya for so long.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting to think, because Filipino American is highly dominated by Tagalog.
Yeah.
Like the people, except if you go to Hawaii. In Hawaii, there's a large Ilocano population. And they even have Ilocano studies at University of Hawaii. You can study Ilocano and the history of that as your, I think, even a master's degree.
Wow.
Yeah, which is pretty cool because majority of the people who immigrated there initially were Ilocanos, the farmers.
Yeah.
But if you look at Filipino American, if you go around here in Daly City, majority you'll speak Tagalog.
Tagalog, yeah.
Yeah, if somebody sees and realizes you're Filipino, they'll just speak Tagalog. And even in all the popular stuff, diba, on BuzzFeed articles and all that, it's all Tagalog. Tagalog dominated. And maybe that's because that's the tongue of imperialist Manila.
Maybe.
That's what they call it. I've heard that so many times now, like especially if I travel to like Visayas or especially like Mindanao. That's imperialist Manila. With their English and Tagalog and like all the politicians are there.
Right.
So, coming here then, what have you noticed as a difference between Filipino Americans and the Philippines?
Filipinos and Filipino Americans, for one, just like what I have heard about how students would usually go together. I have seen that like those who were born in the Philippines, like the Filipino-born, would go together and they speak, of course, in Tagalog usually. And then those who are born here would also go together.
Yeah.
Now, Filipino Americans are, I'd say, if I think of Filipino Americans, I think of people who are, I don't know, impatient sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, like maybe because the Philippines were used to the slow-paced kind of living. Yeah, so I hear them complaining a lot.
Oh, maybe it's like because we're in the city and the American culture is like go go go.
Maybe
next,
maybe it's not just the Filipino American because it's different. Because I came from a very small place, very small town. It's so maybe in Manila too, people are like that. So
maybe.
Yeah.
Have you gone to Manila?
Yeah, because of Fulbright. I went there just to. So I went there maybe 3 times.
Just for Fulbright?
Just for Fulbright.
Like the preparation for it and application and everything? Yeah. Oh. How big is Dumaguete? How big is the like population, do you know?
No.
but it's a smaller town.
Yeah, but remember you said that for you to know how big the city is, it's Jollibee, right?
Oh yeah. How many Jollibees?
How many Jollibees do we have? We have 1, 2, three. I think we have three.
3.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
3 Jollibees. Shoot. Daly City is not that far with 2. And we're in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not a lot. Especially if you go to like Manila, you'll have it every other corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tiny. I think I've seen. So it's not like a small pass-through city, because the small pass-through cities are like 1 Jollibee, but it's at least like, I don't know the number, but that's a good amount. Is the school that you work for in that city?
Yes, Silliman.
Oh, so
Silliman
it's big enough to have a college.
Yeah, they actually have like 1, 2, maybe around 5.
5 colleges?
There's Silliman University. There's another. Silliman University is, it's an American founded institution.
Oh.
1901.
Imperialism.
So
English only here.
1901. And then 1903, I guess, that's why it's the first St. Paul College. It was a college before. Now it's a university. They said there are a lot of St. Paul colleges or universities in the Philippines, but the first one is in Dumaguete.
Oh.
They said it's because of Silliman. Because, Protestant, and then, so they said, the Catholic should also be there. So it was established 1903.
Oh, the St. Paul.
Yeah.
Isn't there a St.
There's a St. Paul in Manila.
Right?
Yeah, but I think if I'm not mistaken, it was established later.
Later.
Yeah, so there's St. Paul. We have another, it's called Foundation University. Then we have a state university, Negros Oriental State University. And, of course, the smaller ones like AMA, right?
No.
Oh, no, you don't know AMA. It's like
AMA?
It's like a college, but it's specifically for computer technology. Something. And then we have STI. I think, STI do we have? Yeah, we have STI, and STI is also like, it's a, more or less, it's like AMA, I guess. Like it's more of computer technology. Yeah, and then we have another one, Asian, I forgot what it really is, but it's AXAT. Call it AXAT.
There's a lot of universities in a small area. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a very small area, but we have, like, Silliman for one, we have international students too, and we have students from Mindanao.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I have a friend.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah.
PT, right?
Yeah, physical therapy.
Yeah.
And they just moved there. Oh, maybe I have another reason to visit this summer.
Yeah, you should go there.
That's crazy because, and then she and her family moved there, right? Just for the PT program. Then she posted a picture that she met other Phil-Ams already.
Yeah, there are
who
a
have
lot.
gone there for PT. And that's crazy. Oh, interesting. I guess I have to do some research and visit. I hear it's next to the ocean too.
Yes. Silliman beside the sea.
Oh. So in that poem that you wrote, right, give us the lessons. Because you talked about some dope things there. The one that is standing out to me right now is this idea that you're talking that there's shared struggles with students both here and in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Could you expound on that a little bit? What do you mean?
So, of course, the Philippines is a third world country.
Yeah.
Getting an education there is really hard. Like, for me personally, like, I'd say we're not rich, but we're not really that poor too. So I was able to, of course, graduate, but I had 3 scholarships when I was in college. And that's not even enough. So, but maybe because it's a private institution, so it was
More expensive. Yeah.
So I'd say, of course, that's one of the struggles there. like living day to day is hard. But when you think of the struggles of the students here too, like when, like they talk about how they cannot spend time with their families, something like that, because they have to work, or separated families. Like I was crying one time in Manong Rod's class. One student shared about, I don't know if it is it okay to share? I don't know.
Don't share the name. Yeah. Just don't share the name.
So but she talked about how her parents were separated for 13 years.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, because I think the mom was petitioned by the grandparents, I guess, so they had to move here. But the father was left in the Philippines. Oh, I think the father was like a seaman, so he also had to travel. Yeah. So they were separated for that long. So I'd say maybe, I don't know, maybe that's one of the reasons why none of my family actually tried to go somewhere. Oh. That's why I was telling you that I'm the first
to leave.
Yeah, but I'm not even an immigrant, but yeah.
It's crazy to think of how many separated families there are. And then, but did they end up getting back together? After 13 years?
So the father actually had to jump ship.
Really? Yeah. Dang, that's like, that's scary too.
Yeah.
Like not knowing if you're gonna be caught, or like worrying around the corner, like making sure you don't ever get stopped by police or anything. And I've actually met a few manongs who've done that because that was the way to do it back in the 70s even, or 80s, like as seamen. And that's the work that some people have to do to... And being a seaman is not easy work. Right. I have one manong who he was working on the ship and they're doing the containers. It fell and like... it cut off his foot. Yeah. Like totally detached his ankle. Oh. And then I was like, what? Because I saw him walking with a limp one time and I was like, are you okay? And it's like, oh, that's just how it is. And he told me the story of how they had to put it in ice and they went to the hospital and they just reattached it. But dang!
Good thing they were able to save it.
They were able to save it, but it was fully detached.
Oh my God.
And that's the work that a lot of people have to do, and it separates them from families like that, and it can't change.
What made me cry was the statement that the mom told, because it was actually the mom's decision
to immigrate.
No, like for the father to jump ship.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was like the mom's idea.
Oh, like, that's a mama who's been waiting for 13 years. Ay nako, come na. We're waiting too long.
So when the mom said, even if you don't have a family here, like we will be your family. Like, because it's also different. Like, even if you have your wife there and your kids, but you can't see your parents,
your siblings. Yeah, I'm very grateful to be here with my mama, and I get to see my sister sometimes. But then it is different now that we got my Lola with us here just for a few months. It feels totally different just seeing her like, hi Lola, love you Lola,
right.
Like that compared to when it's just me and my mom. And then the idea that you go back to the Philippines and visit some communities where you're walking around, you see everyone, all the aunties, cousins playing together, nieces, and you can walk around, this tita, that tita, everyone is family, right. And it's totally different. And I do see how it can be very hard for people, even if you do have your wife and your kid. It's different, right? Some people get depressed,
or sometimes they're there, but like one of my friends was telling me, you can't eat together, like because
everyone's working, night shift, this and that, and you end up just microwaving and there's no real family time anymore, especially if you're working class.
Right.
Even kids end up working, right? Like we've had kids at Westmoore who work almost 40 hours. Oh, I'm like, how do you do that?
Right.
Like at McDonald's, because they have to help pay. Shout out to Bench at Saramonte, where a lot of them work. Or McDonald's, Taco Bell, they're working just to support the family because it's also getting expensive to live out here. It's pretty crazy. But at the end of the day, we see the similarities of that struggle for education. And that's been like ingrained in us that, education is important. But it's just easier for some to get it because of financial stability, while other people really have to struggle, whether scholarships or even working.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What have you noticed? Don't cry.
No, I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking. Yeah, so what's the question?
What have you seen? Because you've helped both at high school level.
Yeah.
Here, Westmoore was our first one. And then in South City. But then also you've been helping at Skyline, right? What have you noticed with the differences between Westmoore High School and South City? Yeah.
I think maybe because I was with the Westmoore students since last fall, and I feel like fall is longer than spring. I feel like they're more close to each other. Yeah, and then in South City they have, because it's a bigger class too, so they have like smaller groups.
Yeah. What's interesting is that in Westmoore, our class was more the newly immigrated Filipinos, a lot more newly immigrated and English as second language, and they were really integrating still. While in South City, a lot of our students for this cohort were a lot of established Filipino Americans already.
Yeah.
Some really joined because they wanted to learn more about the Filipino history.
Yeah.
And a lot were high achieving too, right? Like AP classes and everything. And it really makes me think, I wonder how you really bridge that gap, because you were talking about how you noticed even the Phil-born Filipinos hang out together.
Yeah.
While the American-born Filipinos all hang out together in their own little cliques. What do you think? How do you think you can bridge that gap?
I think we should have like something like maybe, I feel like the gap there will always be there as long as they're both close-minded, or if they'd say, that's fine, like I'm comfortable with my group already, like I don't really care. But once you present like something, like let's say if the kapatiran, right?
Kapatiran,
yeah. I get confused with kapatiran and kapamilya. Because when I think of kapamilya, it's ate and kuya, right? So I think of kapatid.
Yeah. And then we have kapamilya.
Kapamilya is bigger.
And then we have kababayan, learning community.
Yeah, so
we should change it.
Interchange kapamilya and kapatiran, please. Okay, so with the kapatiran,
which is the high school class, high school college success class.
With someone spearheading the group, and of course encouraging like the Phil Americans who were born and raised here, and those who just immigrated. If you have someone like showing them what it really means and what it is to be a Filipino and American at the same time, and see how both could actually just work together. You don't distinguish yourself as an immigrant. I just newly immigrated and I am a Filipino, not an American. Because I feel like I don't know, because I'm not really an immigrant, but I feel like if you moved here, you'd you'd think of yourself not as a Filipino American, but just a Filipino. Like maybe that's what sets the boundaries there. Like I don't see myself as an American, so I'd be with this group. Yeah, but if you try to introduce, like, you know, you have to get used to it because you have to also accommodate the new culture that you are in. And of course, the Filipino Americans would do the same because even if you're born and raised here, maybe, of course, you have to know your roots. And so...
And they're trying to
Yeah.
integrate what they've learned from their families. And then while at the same time feeling somewhat separated from the Filipinos because they're not quote unquote as Filipino. And that might make them feel like outsiders.
Right.
Almost. Like it's very interesting also to see who labels themselves what, right? If you label yourself Filipino or Filipino American or American,
yeah.
right? Because that's what I'm really trying to study too. I wonder, what do y'all label yourselves, right? Because even for me, even if I was born in the Philippines, I grew up for high school, middle school, high school here. So those formative identity years, right? I wanted to be American, and I wore Hollister. I wore all the white clothing, like the brands Abercrombie and Fitch and polos. And so I consider myself Filipino American because if I go back to the Philippines, they're like, "Wait, kano?"
Kano, yeah.
Right?
You're not really a Filipino.
You're not really, you're not full, like, that culture or that exposed. And a lot of people that I've talked to so far, like some don't even know Tagalog, but they have a strong feeling of wanting to be Filipino, right? Especially because if you live in America and the larger culture still sees you as, oh, you're something different too. So you're kind of lost in the middle where you're in America, but nah, you're something else. You're Filipino American, right? You have some color in you, but you go into to the Philippines and you're like, oh, you're Kano.
Yeah.
You're like, what the? Where do I go?
Yeah.
Like,
Where do I
go
fit
in the
myself?
water? Yeah. Am I in the ocean?
Somewhere in between the islands.
Yeah. Hawaii. Let's go Hawaii. I'm Hawaiian.
Polynesian.
Yeah, that's why there were some people I've heard friends of friends saying that, like, oh yeah, they knew people who just like had these identity crises and were just like, yeah, I'm Hawaiian, right? Like even if they spent some time in Hawaii and really because they didn't really want to associate with any specific group, and this seemed like the most viable one. So I'm really hopeful though that things will change in terms of building bridges, but there really has to be a bridge because I've noticed that when we had our joint class of the Westmoore and the South City, they have their little groups, and then they don't talk to the people from the other high school also. But I guess it's high school; it's kind of hard to bridge that gap.
Yeah, and sometimes maybe it's just with the communication style too.
Yeah. Except that's why I was very grateful for like EJ, where we have folks who are very like extroverted and can entertain people. And then when he was doing magic tricks, that gets people together and laughing and that shared experience. And I really think that going to Skyline would bridge the gaps too, because you see like Duchess and JT, different high schools, they're at Skyline together, they're hanging out, and both South City and Westmoore, right
that's actually like a big step already, like putting both schools together, because of course when they go to Skyline they'd see these are familiar faces already, right? So even if they're not from the same school, maybe there's a possibility that they'll start getting together.
What so far, 9 months in, what do you think of America? From what you have seen.
In what sense? Like
in the let's zoom out, right? Because we're in America in like Daly City, but this is like Filipino America, right? We're in the hub of Filipino America, right? Daly City, Pinoy capital, baby. I know you went over that in Liza's class. But from what you've been seeing in the larger culture, in the news, things like that, your experience going around, just what are your general feelings? There's no right or wrong question. Just what are your general feelings of America? As like an observer, right? You're not an immigrant, but you've been here a good amount of time. 9 months is more than enough to get a general point of view.
I'd say in the US, everything is fast paced. And so I can't imagine myself really living here.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, like I grew up in a very small town with a beach, and it like in the kind of job, I'm a teacher there, so it's pretty. The schedule is also very hectic. We start class at 7:30 and at 5.
Yeah.
But here, I don't know. Like sometimes I don't feel like people connect to each other, like Americans in general. Like everyone's just into their thing. Like sometimes they don't. I feel like they don't see each other eye to eye. Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't know.
Have you noticed that there's more connection in the Philippines when you like?
Yeah.
Is it are you talking about like on that one-on-one, like just talking level? Like people are on to the next one here, you think?
I feel like it's because, sometimes most of the time I'd stay, or maybe because, of course, they're busy. Like they have to work, school, and then work, school. So usually I stay at home because I also don't want to go out alone.
Yeah.
And then if I ask, like, do you have, or if, I don't know, like yesterday we were planning to go bowling, but they were asking for our availability. But the problem is we can't really come up with a date because everyone's like, I have work. So
meeting, school. That is true. It's hard to like schedule things with people now. And then you just like, you have to schedule even hangouts. Like,
right?
Am I old? Like, I have to schedule. I was just texting a friend, like, we have to schedule like 2 weeks from now because that's when school ends for him. He's a teacher. And he said, oh, yeah, let's hang out when things settle down because there's no real time for him to hang out, just relax. And how you think it's slow pace? But you said it's 7:30 to 5 in the Philippines. How is it slow paced if you have a full day too?
Maybe it's not really like slow pace, but it's just that we find time. Yeah. So, for example, like even if it's a very long day for us, like we end at 5. Like me personally, because of course I'm single. Like not single, like not married. So what we do, or what I usually do, is we hang out at the faculty lounge even until 8 or 10. Sometimes it's chismis, sometimes it's just grading papers. Yeah. And then sometimes it's not really just. We talk about our sentiments, like we talk about solutions to problems. So when you're checking and then you'd say, I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. And then we start talking about how we can improve things maybe.
Yeah.
And that's also a time, like, even if I feel like it's outside of work, it's work, but outside of work, but still we talk about work, but in a way it relaxes me because it's good when you hear people also sort of complaining because it actually comforts me because I'd say, oh, so it's not just me who's having problems with, let's say, this student, for example. Because sometimes you feel bad when sometimes I tell myself, is he or she just doing this to me or what? Yeah, so when you hear
Like the shared experience.
the shared experience,
from
yeah,
other people.
sometimes it makes me feel okay. Okay, I get it.
I have a question. What were your initial impressions or ideas of America before you came here? Yeah, like just looking at America from a Filipino perspective in Dumaguete. What were your initial like ideas?
For one, I was thinking because honestly, like when I looked at because we were given choices, like we had to rank the schools, and then there's actually like a description of the location. So it just says there, San Bruno suburban.
Oh.
And then like my idea of suburban is like, okay, we have space. Or yeah. So I was thinking of like the very big houses with all those lawn and and I wasn't, because it's California, I think of the sun. I didn't expect that. It's foggy here. So I was really shocked when my first night here, because it was really, really foggy. So it was cold. What else? Maybe that's just about it.
Oh, so you just had the impression
It's more of how it looked. Yeah, but I already had an idea that there'd be Filipinos here, but I didn't expect it's really that much.
Like the quantity wise and all the different restaurants and everything.
Right.
There's something beautiful about Daly City. I'm just like a recent transplant just in 2013. And I remember just arriving here and being so happy. Like every day I would see a new restaurant, like while driving. I'm like, is that Filipino? And another one like Chelogs. What is this? And then because I didn't know that there were so many Filipinos before moving here. And I think that's a big reason actually why I was able to be successful at Skyline, because of the Kababayan learning community, the support, seeing other Filipinos excelling as teachers too. I never had a Filipino teacher in high school, in middle school, growing up. Like everybody did not look like me, right? It's so I realized, this is really powerful to be able to see Filipinos in positions of power, positions of success, right? And Miss Liza Orpello, the legacy starter of Skyline College, has been very big, right? We've seen a lot of students come through, and even for Westmoore and South City, it's really important for these high schoolers, Filipino high schoolers, to have these lessons. I really wish I learned some of this when I was younger, right? What do you think you'll be taking from this experience back to the Philippines? What have you learned so far?
Oh, like the first thing is in the school where I'm teaching at, there are a lot of students there who are, in a way, they have that the families are separated because I'm not really sure if it's most, but a number of them have parents who are working abroad.
Yeah, OFWs.
Yeah, so sometimes I don't know, like it's also hard to deal with these kinds of students when the parents are absent. So I don't know, like I can't imagine myself growing up without at least a mother or a father. So if it's both, that's harder.
You have students whose both parents are gone?
So usually like they're left with
Lola.
Grandparents or the aunties. And some of them are actually like as early as high school, they're already in a dormitory.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so they live like, especially those who are from Mindanao. So they have to stay in a dormitory and do stuff like, so like for one, sometimes they think that if their parents are working abroad, they can just, spend and like, or sometimes they feel like, I don't know if it's like guilt tripping them or what, but they feel like the parents are obliged to give them everything because they're absent. So you should give us what we want. I don't know, but that's how maybe it's just me.
The way you're looking at them. What do you mean maybe it's just you?
Not really like how I look at them, but maybe that's how I imagine them thinking.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but I believe there are some students who are like that, or there are some kids who are like that. Not necessarily just from my school, but like those who are from a family with OFWs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, because I always, when I hear like some of my older friends here, when they talk about sending money to the Philippines, that sometimes they feel like their family back there don't know like the kind of living that they have here just to be able to send money back. So it's totally different when you see it in the movies only. So I'd be sharing them the stories of what I've heard and what I have seen. Like, it's not really easy to be away from your family. And so like you have to show them the love that they deserve too, because they're doing everything for you. Right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the idea that just because you're an OFW, you have an okay life now. Like outside of the Philippines, sometimes the story of the struggle is not really told. Like, I have a friend who drives in a janky car. Every time he starts it up, it's like, and he drives every time he drives like, dude, you should get the car checked. It's fine. But even when he's driving around, it's like that. And he sends money back to the Philippines as much as he can, like for whether it's a celebration or a party, right? And it's not all glitz and glamour for people who are working abroad or sending money back to the Philippines. That's still a major part of the GDP, right? Like the remittances. How crazy is that? Is like a large portion of the economy in the Philippines is money being sent by OFWs, by expats, just working abroad all across the United States. And I really feel it'll be important to tell these stories of people who are working, but hopefully in the future have better opportunities in the Philippines so they don't have to leave. Right? Like, it's cool that we are worldwide, but also kind of sad, right? That I remember visiting even just one place in Luzon, Bataan, and then our local guide was telling us, yeah, we have this whole street over here where all the houses, those are all owned, all the people in there, they have OFWs who are not there anymore. Like family members who, they're all gone to foreign countries just to work. And then I met like a family where where both parents were working abroad and their kids were left there. But with the lolas, and they were staying in this like, it was kind of nice, but it was just a bamboo house, right? But it was well built. But then inside, they have the TV. They have a nice tablet because it's money sent by the parents. And it's crazy, right? It's so weird, but it's also part of our story, right? We have had people leaving the Philippines since the early 1900s to work abroad, right? To all the like farm workers, what were they called again? The sakadas.
Sakada,
Yeah. Oh, I remember my Filipino history.
Manong Rod.
You're in that class right now.
Yes.
What do you think about it? How do you like it?
It's pretty cool. Like, we watched videos. Yesterday, we had a guest speaker.
Who?
Jonathan P. I don't know how to pronounce his family name, but it's like P-E-T-T-E. P something.
What did he talk about?
It was the story of nurses and immigration, Filipino nurses.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think he was Manong Rod's classmate in one of his classes in I think in his PhD program. So it was actually his paper. So he talked about the history of Filipino nurses immigrating and how discrimination is done to them. Yeah, like there were some who had to leave their work or some who had to just endure even if they're working overtime without being paid. Yeah. So he did like an interview of a number of nurses and then just talk about their stories.
And wrote a paper about that. Yeah, like we are still number one in nurses, I think. But have you seen the Joe Coy?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not gonna make fun or talk bad about nursing. It's great, but let's be real. That was not your dream. That was your Filipino mom's dream.
Yeah, I know. Like when I went to college, a number of my classmates went to the nursing school. And
why did you decide to do education, and how do you end up becoming a teacher, like a high school teacher?
So, I got my scholarship. One of my scholarships is from the Commission in Higher Education. It's like the Department of Education, but it's more of the college. But yeah, it's a government agency. So they gave us like a list of the courses that we could take.
Oh.
Yeah. So they said that these are the courses that they'd be needing to be filled in because only a few are taking it. I don't know why education was there because I felt like there are a lot of teachers already.
Oh.
Yeah, but I remember one of the choices was BS chemistry, and there was also physics. But I came from a science elementary and a science high school, public school, but focused on science. So I felt like this is too much. Like I'd had enough of those formulas and all. So yeah, and then I was also thinking about math, but my family's inclined to math. I told myself I might just get something else. And then I was thinking of something that doesn't need that much memorization because I hate memorizing stuff. But I was wrong.
Was there a lot of memorization still in teaching?
There's still. Like, I hated the board exam for that. And then they said, but if you... how about English? If you take English, maybe you can land in any other jobs if you don't really want to become a teacher. Because at first, I didn't want to become a teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you just took English as a general.
Yeah.
Because you didn't really want to be a teacher, but that was the option.
But the thing is, in the Philippines, unlike here, you're privileged because you can just take general courses, right? And then choose your major later.
Yeah.
But there, we have to start with a major.
Oh, so your first year in college, you have to start already with the major?
I remember we have 2 major subjects in each semester. First, when I was in first year college. So, but I was inspired when the dean, it was actually the dean, he told us about his story. Like I was crying the whole time.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because he was talking about how it was also a struggle for him because he came from a smaller town and they're not rich, and he came from, his father was a farmer, and so his father really wanted him to just work in the farm, and just work there and don't go to college anymore. Although he was able to also graduate high school at that time. But I'm not sure if it was high school when the father already got mad for him going to school. Something like that. Because, the thinking of the father is, you just have to work because, we need food. So he had to work as early as high school. Like he went to, because there's no high school in their place, so he had to like walk for 2 hours, I guess. That's the nearest high school in their area.
High school?
Yeah. So what he did was he worked in one of I think it's an eatery something. So he
Calendaria.
Carinderia. Not calendaria, it's carinderia.
Calendaria.
Yeah, so he stayed there, so he gets free food. So he worked there the whole week, and then he just goes home during weekends.
Oh.
Because it's a long walk.
Yeah.
So that he could have a place to stay.
Yeah.
So he struggled like his entire high school, and then of course when he went to college, he also did his best just to be able to go to school. So I don't know, like
that inspired you.
Yeah, I felt like this is like he's my idol. Like I want to be like him. Like inspire more people and talk about how important education is. Because he was talking about how he couldn't provide, because he had a family before he graduated college. So, yeah, if I'm right, yeah. So he had a family first, and then before he graduated, yeah. And he earned even when he got his doctorate degree, like he was still struggling. So, and he's a very, very simple man. So, very humble. So I said, I want to be like him.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been teaching? How many years have you been a high school teacher in the Philippines?
I started 2010.
Dang. So like a good 7 years.
Yeah. Dang. It was also unexpected. Like, I started as a part-timer.
So you were like 20 years old when you started teaching?
Yeah, I just turned 20 that year.
And you taught high school?
Yeah. So I graduated 2010, March of 2010. And then I went to school just to get my transcript. But the chairman of the college told me the high school is hiring. They're looking for someone to teach. And then I said, no, I won't teach because I need to focus on my board exam. So I said, since I don't have money to enroll again for a review center, I'll be self-studying. So I need time.
Yeah.
And then he said, no, you can do it. Like you can study while you teach. I said, no, because I need to focus on the board exam.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he called them up. Like I was in front of him, and then he said, no, you wait. And then he called the high school department, and then he said, I'm sending someone there, blah, blah, blah. So, oh my God. And then, of course, I don't want to embarrass him. So I felt like I was obliged to go. So I said, okay. And then, yeah. So when I was there, I was told, okay, so you just send us here are the requirements. And then I started.
And then you sent it in.
Yeah. And then I felt like, oh my gosh, this is not really for me. I said, this is not for me because during my, so you have to do a demo. Teaching, yeah. When I did it, I was sick that week. So I wasn't able to prepare that much. But luckily I was able to do it. So yeah.
Do you like it now? You said that was just, at first it's not for you, but you stayed for 6-7 years. Do you like it?
Yeah. So I heard the story of my dean when I was still in first year college.
Yeah.
So at first I said, I want to be like him. So I think I'm going to finish this course and do whatever it takes to become a teacher. When I was in fourth year college, so we were asked to, we were required to do like an apprenticeship. It's, what do you call that? Student teaching.
Yeah.
So we did, for the first semester, I did it in a public high school. And then second semester is in the school where I'm teaching at. So I was able to compare the private and public school system. So I was able to see the difference, and it's pretty cool in both the public and private. But
What's the difference?
for one, the number of students. Public schools are pretty packed.
Like how many to one teacher?
Around 60 maybe.
60 to one
Yeah.
teacher
And it's, yeah,
in a high school class?
60. But I'd say I had a very, very good mentor in both the public and private high schools. So I learned a lot from them. How to deal with the kids.
60 students?
Right? And
God.
I couldn't imagine like how she did it. Like, so I was pretty amused with how, even if with that number, she can still manage everyone and see like what they're doing. So, but it was cool. Like when you do the group activities, there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah, but 60?
60. Yeah.
Because we struggle
60.
like with like 30.
Yeah.
Like 30 is a lot already. And that's, wait, how does it work? Is that 60 students per day in one class? How does that work? You teach one class to these 60 students?
You have six, it depends, like 60 per section. So,
And then in one section, you're the English teacher.
yeah.
And so they're just with you how many hours?
Usually it's an hour a day.
And then you have another class? How many
Another
sections do you
class.
teach?
When I was teaching,
Yeah, in
student teaching? You
Yeah.
mean student?
Okay, sure.
I only had one.
But
I was
how
lucky.
many does a
But
regular teacher?
But the regular teacher would usually have at least 4 or 5.
4 sections a day with 60 students each?
Yeah, so that's like 240 there.
They don't remember everyone's names, do they? Yeah,
She can.
does?
Yeah,
What the heck? That's
we have to, or else.
why they need more teachers. They definitely
Yeah, but
need
the problem
more
is
teachers.
we have a lot of teachers. It's just that the classrooms maybe it's really with the budget. Like if you say more teachers, more people, of course.
More classrooms are needed.
Yeah, and then of course the salary.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's still hard because
And then so how is it in the private school?
in the private school we have fewer, like maximum is 40.
Damn,
That's already still a lot, but that's the maximum. But at least it's more comfortable physical setting
Space,
wise.
yeah.
We have an
Better
air condition.
facility,
Yeah. But in the public, like you'd be sweating with the 60
Yeah,
students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. That's like, it's crazy that there's the comparison between public and private there, but still in comparison to classes here, right? At least 40 students, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there are schools struggling here in different parts of the U.S., right? At least in the area that we're at, the suburbs, quote unquote. Like the biggest class that I had in Denman Middle School was 35. And then I know that, and we had like 2 to 3 teachers in the classroom at the
Wow.
same time because it was co-teaching set up for PEP. And shout out to Pinay Educational Partnership. But that was hard already. I can't even remember names of the students from last year. And I was struggling a little bit. And we only had one class.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Teachers have a lot on their plate, but they aren't paid well.
Yeah.
They aren't appreciated. And it's sucks that even funding is getting targeted and getting cut now. It's such an important and I think very powerful space to be in, like a classroom with a good teacher who actually cares, but there's no real support for that.
Yeah.
Which is sucky.
Yeah, that's the sad part. And I remember when I was training public school teachers, you know that the Philippines also follow the K-12 system, right?
Yeah. They just changed it
Yeah.
2-3 years ago. Yeah.
Although I'd say it's still different.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? How's it different?
Because I saw like in the high schools here as early as... Wait, because your high school here is it? It starts with 9th grade, right?
Yeah.
So you have 9, 10, 11, 12 high school.
Yeah.
So with those years, it's like more or less, it's pre-college because you have to choose your own subjects, right?
Kind of.
And there's
kind
already like a sort of a
There's
track.
some electives, yeah. Depends from which high school you go to. Some high schools have different programs but there are general requirements for graduation by the state and then by federal, I think.
That's actually what we're doing for senior high school. So there's like a core subject. They call it core subjects.
Yeah.
And then you have the specifics.
Yeah.
But we only get to do that for 11 and 12. For grades 7 to 10, our junior high school, it's pretty much laid out there. They don't choose.
It's weird because here, okay, at least let's just lay it out. The same is elementary, 1 to 6. Okay, here in the U.S. they call 7 and 8 middle school. And then 9 to 12 high school. In the Philippines, 7 and 8 is together with 9 and 10. So 7 to 10 is high school. And then 11 to 12 is senior high school.
Yeah.
Which is actually what I've seen linked to colleges. A lot of them are... The colleges, once they switched to the K to 12, a lot of the colleges opened up senior high school programs.
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like a pre-college center. It's weird because that 2 years here comes before high school in the US. The 2 years is the middle school, while those additional 2 years come after high school in the Philippines.
Right.
But then the reason why they switched to that K to 12 was kind of to match American standards, which is so lame still.
Right.
And there was a lot of negative pushback in the Philippines when they were initially pushing it forward, because I think the argument was that this is just to match us up, and to a lot of the senior high school programs were for vocational type work that would only lead to more export labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically training. A lot of the arguments against it was like, you're just training us so we get more exportable work. So there's more OFWs and more remittances. And that was one argument. But some people were positive, like proponents of it, saying that, it's good for more prep. But I think a lot of people were succeeding without it. And it actually forced people to be like ready. There was a lot of college grads already at 20, right?
Yeah, like me.
Like you, and just jump into the working life.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that I'm against K-12, although I'd say I'm for it, but there are just a lot of things that I think maybe it's just the implementation. Yeah.
What?
Because one of the changes that I saw when we started K to 12 was the kind of curriculum. There was sort of a change in the curriculum, how it's implemented. But the thing is, teachers really need training, like a lot of
additional training.
Yeah. But there are a lot of teachers who don't like it because it's really time consuming.
Oh, the training?
Not just the training, but implementing it itself.
You know what was negative that I initially heard? I think this was in 2015 when the argument was going on, was the implementation part. Was since there were no new incoming freshmen in college for 2 years, those costs were put into tuition hikes for those upperclassmen, for those juniors and incoming seniors. And a lot of people had to stop
Yeah.
because they couldn't afford the tuition hikes. And they're like, we're just trying to finish. And a lot of those, the ones that I talked to, were coming from farmer families, and they were the first ones to go to college like that. And they're even going to a state college. Those folks from the Mindanao State University I got to talk to. And yeah, it was that transition. They're like, what is this? Like, how come it's being off-put to us? But that's the implementation, right? And I don't know how it's going to be in the next few years. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And it's kind of crazy that the Big Four, I think Ateneo,
law school.
The Big
Are you
Four.
talking about the law results? No, bar
No,
exam? Oh, okay.
Just general those Big Four colleges. I forgot if it's UST and some of them. I don't know if it's UP, but at least a certain big colleges already shifted their school year to match US school year.
August.
Yeah, the August break, and I'm like, but this is all based. This is still all rooted in wanting to conform to American standards.
Good thing we're not following it. Shout out to Silliman. American founded institution, but we're not following it. Proud to say that.
Because it's weird because those colleges are following it, but not all high schools and elementary schools are shifting. So what's going on? There's so many different like levels of transitions, and it's almost even deciding who gets to go into where, because if you want to get into those higher, like more notable schools, then it would make sense that you go to the more notable high schools that follow the same schedule, follow the same rubric. And those are usually private schools, more expensive schools. And so you only get to go to those if you have money. And it's all fucking money at the end of the day.
Right.
But shout out. My dad went to like Ateneo and whatever, and it was cool when I got to visit. They have a nice campus. UP Diliman has a huge campus
with acacia trees.
Yeah, it's kind of nice walking around. I'm like, this is so shy looking, and it's interesting to just see the similarities, but also differences. But the lame part is that even if it's American institution, the educational system was implemented by America, a lot of the degrees, once you come over here, are not respected.
Yeah.
They look at it like, you can't be a doctor here, even if you were a doctor in the Philippines, right? Like my mama had to redo the whole schooling, go back to school, nursing for the whole thing, because it was like, whatever, we don't care if you're a lawyer there or whatever. You were not, even if we set up the schools there in the 30s and stuff, it doesn't matter. It's not an American school.
Yeah.
So we have this mix, like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. What? But okay. Let's close down. But what are some pieces of advice? Leave us 3 pieces of advice. I like to frame it a little bit to newly arriving Filipinos here, because you had the kind of mini experience, even if you're not immigrating, right? You had the mini experience of trying to find a sense of home. You've shared with me a lot that you were able to find a sense of home here, but and you've seen spaces for newly immigrated Filipinos, right? Like in Westmoore. What are 3 pieces of advice that you would give?
3
pieces of advice for newly immigrated or arriving Filipinos?
Maybe the first one is to be with the right people. Right people.
How do you know the right people?
Like, right for me would be people that I'd be comfortable with, but at the same time, I'll learn from them. So, of course, it's not really comfortable if you're in a new place, right? You have to know how to find your way and everything. But I'd say finding the right circle for you. So you have to know what you want first.
You have to know what you want so that you
Yeah.
can find the right people, the right circles.
I think. In my, I'm just so lucky that it was sort of provided for me. Like, I knew then and there, this is where I should go. So, with that, I was able to meet more people. For example, like with the Filipino Student Union, with Jim, with Liza, I was able to meet other groups, like Laya, for example. So, I'm not really an active Laya member, but I was able to sit down with them, learn more about, the issues here that affects the Philippines. That would be one. So you have to know. Can it be two? Know what you want, and then find your
circles.
circle.
Yeah.
And then maybe third would be, I'd say, I don't know what's the third one. Oh, I'd say I'm not really that religious, but I believe that there's really someone there who guides me. Like,
There's something.
yeah. I'm a Christian.
Okay.
Yeah, so Christian.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian.
I'm Christian too. My name's Chris.
Yeah, but
Christian.
But it's weird too. Like, I'm a Christian, but like, I believe in superstitions too. That mix of
yeah.
right? So I believe that there's really a guiding force that drives me to where I am now. Like, everything that happened in this whole entire Fulbright experience is not really, like, I don't really know if it was me. I'd say it's not me.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't tell you the story, but everything was like set into place. I didn't really apply right then and there. It came to a point that they said, I knew that it was already the deadline, but I didn't submit it. And then I just met the dean, and then he told me, you know what? The deadline was actually extended. I said, oh, cool. I said, you should do it. So everything was like, I think it was given. Like, I didn't really ask for it. Yeah. See, it was the deadline, but they said, oh, it was extended.
And so, so what was the third? How did he phrase it?
Third would be trust in the guiding force.
Trust in the guiding force. Okay.
And then, I'd say pray. I'd say pray.
Okay. It's not specific to any guiding force?
Yeah. It depends on who you believe in.
Well, okay, you said you believe in superstitions.
Yeah.
What superstitions do you believe in?
Superstitions like, sometimes, like, when you see a black cat, for example, like, I believe in this really small stuff. Like, sometimes I remember my mother telling me, if you see a black cat, that's like it's a bad omen or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, something bad will happen. Because I don't know if it's
has that happened to you? Really? Like what?
Yeah.
What happened?
But not really a bad cat, a black cat, or let me think of a specific. I can't remember, but yeah,
but
it happens.
you know something has happened.
Or I find signs. Like, if I feel like sometimes there's your intuition will tell you. Like, sometimes I feel like I can hear something telling me you shouldn't go. There's stuff that usually happens.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what? Like
I
what?
don't know. Like, sometimes if I'm, for example, like, I can't remember.
But you've had feelings where it turned out like you listened to that voice that telling you, and then
I want to remember, but I can't. Wait. Yeah.
But you believe in omens and signs like that?
Yeah. And I don't know, like, when I came here, I was so afraid traveling alone. Like really, really afraid traveling alone. But I felt like everything was really put into place. Like I was able to find someone. She was also in a J1 visa because she's a SPED teacher, special education teacher. And it just so happened like we have the same flight in both legs. Like my flight from Manila to Hong Kong to O'Hare was the same. So we were together the entire...
From the Philippines?
Yeah, from the Philippines. Like I just met her in the airport. Like I talked to her and then she said, "Oh, you're also going there?" Like I'm also going there alone.
So like little chance encounters and things that just happen, but then they're like, "Oh, this fits perfectly."
And I just learned like the other day, recently, I was told by the two other scholars are already in the Philippines. One is actually traveling at this time.
Oh, really? Right now?
Right now. So one came, the first one who went home, she told me that the people in the office, in the Fulbright office in the Philippines, told her that I was supposed to be in Northern Illinois University because they have to rank.
Yeah.
And then they said I was like the first choice for Northern Illinois too. But they couldn't contact me. And so like I think it was, they have to decide right then and there. But I think that they wanted to contact me because they want to ask if I'd be willing to. I don't know if I was given a choice or what. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, NIU was my last choice. So, I don't know.
And then
so I was not, they were not able to contact me. So I ended up at Skyline. I said, yeah, see? Everything's set into place. That's why. They weren't able to contact me because I have to be in Skyline.
I had a similar feeling when I was thinking of like being able to transfer, right, out of Skyline. But then why? Because of certain positions, right? Me being part of Kapamilya or Kapatiran and or even part of PEP. But I was thinking, all of these things are kind of like given to me. Because when after my first semester, Liza was like, hey, there's this federal work study thing. Kababayan is getting an employee. We want you to do it. And she was like basically giving like that. And I was like, At first I was like, I don't know. I don't have time. But fine. And then that like catapulted into the Kapatiran class, to the Kapamilya mentorship. And those were helpful in building leadership skills and putting it on my application, right? And then even the PEP, to join PEP and end up teaching at Denman Middle School for 2 years now. But when I got the email of like, hey, apply, I was like, it was always like here. I'm like, dang. And I was thinking about that. It just happened. And it just continue. You just ride the wave.
Right.
Almost like, oh, where will we go next? Oh.
That's why we are blessed.
We are blessed. Super blessed. Super.
Each one is blessed.
Each one is
You
blessed.
just have to see what's given.
Yes. And you have to give back.
Right.
You have to pay it forward. You have service to others.
You know what?
Right?
I was told by one of the older folks there at home, and then she said, you know what? Because I always get like food from this family in Daly City.
Huh?
Yeah, like a church mate.
Oh, they just give you food?
They give me food all the time.
I have to go to church now.
Go to church. Go, Oakland.
What the heck?
So shout out to UCC Oakland.
What, Filipino family? And they just give you food? What? Maybe I just look too like takaw.
They give me food. They give me like,
You're
what
too
do you
friendly
need?
looking. That's why.
Yeah, and then
you look friendly.
And so the old couple there at home would tell me like, what are you bringing again? Like, did you buy this? No, it was given it. And then the wife told me like, I feel like you're very good. That's why you're given a lot. And then I'd say, no, I'm blessed. That's why I give back. I try to be good.
Yes.
Right? So it's the idea of you should, like, I don't think of doing something so that I get something, but I'm giving back something, like at least to be good in my own way.
And you're
And
giving
then,
back because you've been given so much.
Right.
It's like a responsibility, like to be able to like give because of all the things your family has given you, support has given you, community. I feel the same way. That's why I'm like, shit, I've been giving so much. I need to give or else.
Right.
Sorry, Lola. Let me give more, Lola.
That's right.
Right? To think about everybody who supported us. Like, we're not here on our own.
Yeah.
Right? Even if a lot of the work that we do is, we're doing good work, but there's so much support underneath the surface, right? That other people don't usually see, but it's there.
Right.
Right. Dope. Do you have any last things to share? Little tidbits of wisdom before we close out at the Bea. Last message for the world, for all your Phil-ams and Filipinos.
The Phil-ams and the Filipinos. I'd say just simply love your culture. I'm already 27, but I'd say I don't know that much yet. I told my boyfriend in the Philippines, who's a history teacher, I said, you know what? I need to learn more from you and from So I told him the moment I'd go back, or if I have time, I'll be reading more stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, and I promised myself I won't be giving up because I'm teaching grade 7 and that's Philippine literature. Yeah, our English is English and Philippine literature. So I told myself I won't be giving up grade 7. Like that will be my year level. Because I became an English teacher because that's also one. Like I want to use English, but English to learn more about our own culture.
Yes.
Right? So that's why I'm so inspired by Miss Liza too. Like, hands down.
Hands down
wow.
legacy.
I freaked out when we read Brown Skin, White Minds. Because in one of my classes in the Philippines, I used like his interview. A transcript of the interview and the video. I said, this name sounds familiar. And so, wow, this is his book. So, because we talked about colonial mentality.
Yeah.
And like, I see myself, I can't imagine like teaching that chapter on colonial mentality and, like talking about, I was there, like I saw it.
But you can teach it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's why. So, I'm pretty much excited.
Yeah. At the Bea teaching colonial mentality.
Have you read New Yorker in Tondo?
No.
No, you should read that.
Okay.
It's a play.
Okay, I'll read it.
It talks about colonial mentality. And it talks about like a scholar. So it's like, I can so much relate to that now.
What, did you read it for Liza's class?
I taught that in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. New Yorker in Tondo. All right, we'll put that in the shout
It's actually a satirical play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. Like, it's about a scholar. 10 months too in the US.
That's you.
Yeah, that's me. Like, I'm not in New Yorker in Tondo. What would be the counterpart if I'm here?
Daly City in Dumaguete.
Right? D&D.
Yeah. Cool. Sige, salamat Ate Bea. Thanks for coming on. How can people find you, contact you online? What's your Instagram?
Bokkibok. It's BOKKY. BOK.
Yeah, why did you do that? I was wondering why that's...
Bokkibok?
Yeah, what's Bokkibok?
Bok is like in Bisaya, it's actually short for tambok.
What does that mean?
Tambok is fat.
Bokkibok.
Yeah. But I call my boyfriend Bok. He calls me Bok too, but yeah. He is actually, his name is Prime Paul, but Paul at home he's called Paul. Pero like his nickname is Polybok. You know, fully booked. Like fully booked.
Yeah, fully booked.
Yeah. So
Bookstore.
he had a story of, no, it's not the bookstore, but the flight.
Fully booked?
Yeah, but it's a bookstore too, right? But
Yeah.
but the story is about the, you know, like the flight is fully booked.
Oh.
Something like that. So because his father used to travel a lot, and then he would say he can't say fully booked, so he'd say fully booked. Fully booked, so bok.
Bucky
But it's
bok.
also short for bok, like tambok.
Oh.
Tambok, you know.
I was wondering what that meant, because why that was your
So
name.
new word for the day.
I was always thinking it was connected to like bok choy. Or is it like,
Bok choy.
I was like,
The
you
vegetable.
like, yeah, vegetables. Why is it boki? Okay, cool. And on Facebook, you are Bea
Zamora.
Zamora. All right. If you ever go to Dumaguete, visit Siliman. Siliman University. But wait, they have an elementary school. So it's all the way from preschool all the way to college. Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
We also have
private school, baby.
Yeah. We also have a school of medicine. And,
Oh, yeah?
And yeah.
Oh,
law
okay.
school.
All right. Shout out.
Yeah.
Thank
Congratulations. There are 3 who landed in the top 10 spot for the newly released bar exams for law.
From Siliman?
From Siliman, yes.
you. Whoa.
So proud.
Dang. That's crazy. Yo, it's crazy that a lot of the top is UP, which is a public school.
But you know what's the
What?
news? None of the top schools in Manila actually is part of the top 10 this year. Yeah.
Oh, Manila is struggling, y'all.
Yeah, the top.
It's because y'all on Instagram too much. Y'all are
No.
y'all are too
I
much
don't
into the
Manila.
imperialism.
Yeah.
It's the traffic. It's so traffic in
Oh,
Manila.
yeah.
You can't get to class.
It's so hard.
That's why.
That's right. The traffic.
Dang, I didn't know that
The
for
flood.
this year. Oh shoot.
Yeah. There were
Manila is
4 from
From Siliman?
No, 3 from Siliman, and then 4 from a school called University of San Carlos, Cebu.
Oh.
The
The top 10 for the bar, the law this year? Dang, that's crazy.
rank 1 is from USC,
Oh.
San Carlos.
Oh, okay. I'll pull that up and put it on the blog post for this one. That's crazy. And it's crazy that in the Philippines they televise the results of the bar, because they don't do that here. No one knows who graduated the bar because it's so big. But being a lawyer is such a big thing in the Philippines.
Yeah.
It gives you access to so many things, and not even law. So I know a lot of lawyers who just end up doing business, even just business law, maybe like that. But it's such a big pivotal thing that every year they televise the top
Yeah.
bar completion and who topped it that year,
Yeah.
and they publish the list. It's
Because they say
crazy.
it's the hardest.
Really?
They say usually it's like 20% only for the passing rate, but now it's one of the highest. It's 59.
Really? This year?
Yeah.
For the passing? Ooh, I wonder why. I wonder.
They said it's 59, yeah.
People are just like getting really better at completing it. That's interesting.
Okay.
Cool. Salamat, Ate Bea.
Yo, welcome.
Okay.
Walang anuman.
Walang anuman. Till next time. Ingat sa biyahe.
Yeah.